This is Business LO, a podcast by the Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce, which connects, educates, advocates, and champions our business community. We have nearly 500 members from international corporations to home-based businesses, and we serve them all. Each episode of Business LO gives insider information to the local business community and the neighbors who support them. And now, let's talk Business LO.
Today is February 20th, 2026, and this episode will publish on March 1st. And in this episode, we hopefully open a whole new world for you and your business, or perfect your process if you're already using AI. Joining us is Megan Notarte. She is a technology team leader and the co-founder of AI Portland, a 2,800-member community focused on demystifying generative AI and its applications, organizing monthly events that bridge the gap between AI technology and practical business applications. Leading the conversation is our model chamber member, Heather Graves Ramsey. She is owner of Coach to Brilliance. She specializes in executive coaching and leadership development. I'm Michelle Odell, and let's talk AI, everybody.
Megan, I had the opportunity of seeing you at the Cruiseway Economic Forum, and you did such a phenomenal job of making AI feel manageable in this chaotic world that we have here. Super excited today to kind of hone in a little bit on how some of our small business owners and nonprofits can practically utilize AI in their systems. I would love to hear first a little bit about, you've started this group. Michelle, you just said 2,800 people in the Portland area or groups in the Portland area. Would love to hear a little bit more about you, the group you started, and kind of what's your passion around this AI piece.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words and for having me here. Yeah, we started AI Portland in January of 24, and it came from curiosity with me and my co-founder. We both work in tech. My day job, I run a web design and development agency in Portland. We help companies with complex web applications and make them run really well on the web. Having been in tech and seeing the AI train coming, we're really curious about what this meant. ChatGPT came out in November 23, I think, and we saw that things were going to change. And so we started having conversations, just me and Nicole, and then we realized if we're having these conversations, other people are probably having these conversations too.
Right.
And so really it started from a place of curiosity. Can we get people to answer our questions? And maybe those questions align with other questions that other people have. And so that was our first event. Our success barometer for our first event was if we found 5 people we didn't know who showed up, then win. We did a good job. And we had a wait list of 160 people.
Oh,
so we knew in January that we tapped into something. Other people were curious too. Through the lens of AI, we can create spaces for people to come together in person and talk about this new technology and our fears and our excitement and whatever, but also learn how to be together again.
Amazing. In thinking of today, we were thinking what would be some tactical, practical, lookout kind of things that we want to help people with. Would love to start with 3 segments. So the first segment is kind of our restaurant and retail folks. The second one is professional services, and the third would be our nonprofits. Was hoping you could dive into a little bit, taking each one, and there's probably some links that go with these as well.
The professional service and the nonprofit is going to be a lot the same, but we can start with restaurant and retail. And overall, it can be so overwhelming right now. If you are even a tiny bit paying attention to what's happening in AI, any given day, it feels like the world has completely changed. Or has it? Right? You have no way of knowing. Me, who spend a lot of time on this, I also have no way of knowing. People who tell you that they really, truly understand everything are maybe not being totally honest. So
with themselves, potentially.
With themselves even, right? Yeah, because it's not possible. The rate of change is so fast. But for most people, you don't need to be on the cutting edge. You don't need to know the latest model and what it does and if you can vibe code your SaaS product now or something. You probably don't need to know that for your small business. You need to know, how do I even think about using this and can I get started?
Yes.
overall, the most important thing when you get started is how do I think about working with AI? From like sort of a small business standpoint. And the very first thing is, can I use this as an assistant somehow to help me? Can I use Claude or ChatGPT to help me draft an email or think through a problem that I'm trying to solve? You don't have to automate your whole business at this point, right? The first thing is, let's start working with these tools and get a feel for how they operate. So when I think about restaurant and retail, there's some really low-hanging fruit, like in marketing and content generation. Can you take one piece of content and have an AI tool help you utilize that on many different platforms? So I might write one post that's for LinkedIn. Can I have it write me a version that I can also put on Blue Sky or on Instagram? I'm giving it the way that I want it to talk, and it can rework it for me. Communication. Can it help me write emails back to customers or all of those easy sort of low-hanging fruit email writing? There's some things to think about when you start using AI for writing in general. How do I make sure that my brand voice is maintained? I see a lot of restaurants right now getting on the AI bandwagon. There's a part of me that's, yay, cool, like try this stuff out. We have to try it to know what's going to work. And then there's a part of me that's like, but don't give up your voice. Right?
Yeah, right.
We need you to maintain your brand identity in the excitement of, can AI do this thing for me? Also, does it sound like me? There's this concept of human in the loop, which I talk about all the time, which is in this automated world of AI, we have a responsibility to do our jobs as the humans in the loop. So in this circumstance, it's our job to read that output that we get for that marketing post or whatever. Does this sound like my business?
Right.
And there are techniques that you can use to help it maintain your voice. You can provide it writing samples. You can point it at your website and say, this is what I sound like. It should sound like this. Those little things can really help maintain that brand voice. Also, I'm seeing a lot of restaurants specifically with AI slop coming out. Are you familiar with the term AI slop?
No,
So
this is new to me.
it's like the output from AI that's just not very good. I'm seeing really cool, highly designed menus, for example. But if you look really closely, there's letters on there that don't make words. No one's really looked closely to make sure. And I think that does kind of go back to brand identity. Just because you can make a fancy designed menu that you put on your Instagram, is it enhancing your brand or not? Is it really consistent with the other things? Is it what you want your customers to see?
So you're saying proofread. You're basically
100%.
saying proofread. Read it out loud to yourself. And if it sounds like a robot, maybe it's time to, and that's when you go in and you tweak it and make it sound more like, okay.
Imagine you hired a super educated but highly inexperienced intern or assistant or new employee. And they know everything about everything. They went to Harvard. They have studied everything, but they know nothing about your business. What would you tell them to make sure that when they take over your social media, what would you tell them? That same thing is what you want to tell your AI, like your chatbot assistant, ChatGPT, Claude. Those same instructions you can put in that project in Claude, for example, or ChatGPT, and it will remember that. It will refer to that. That mental model of thinking about it as an assistant can be really, really helpful.
I think of it as my muse. It's going to give me some ideas. Very rarely do I ever actually take exactly what it says, but I'm saying, ooh, I kind of like that ring. And how can I take that ring and put it in here? What I'm wondering is, do I need to be doing the paid version of, let's say, a Claude or a ChatGPT versus just the one that's out there? Because I feel like I've been using the paid one recently, and it'll do like a section like, in your voice, this is how you sound. So it sounds like the paid version. I've just been trialing it out, but it sounds like that almost remembers your voice a little bit better, and they flag it for you. You're breathing.
Yeah, your paid versions, like the $20 a month versions, are going to give you access to better models. So if you are feeling like your experience with ChatGPT or Claude, it's just not that great, you are probably using the free version and you don't have access to the better models. The paid versions you're going to get, it is worth it, especially if you're doing a lot more of this stuff, which we all are, right? I like what you said, if I could pick up on, you talked about using AI as a muse. The next level, and I haven't specified all these levels. This is in the moment. The next level of using AI in your work as an individual, how do I use AI as a brainstorming partner?
Yes.
Or as someone who I have an idea or something I'm trying to work through at my business or whatever, and I can give it the information and have sort of a conversation back and forth where I work out the problem. I do that quite a bit. And I would even take it so far as in writing, I often don't have AI just output the draft of something for me. What I do is I write the draft. I do know what I want to say, generally speaking. And if I'm writing like a blog post or something, I really know what I want to say. So I will write it. I will give it back to Claude or to ChatGPT and say, I want you to act as an editor. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish with this piece. What feedback would you give me? I have recently had to write a bunch of essays, which is not a thing I have to do very often, but I found myself in this place. And I actually feel like I really learned where some of my weaknesses are in my writing, because it was like, you really gave up at the end of this essay. And I'm like, I did give up at the end of that essay.
Because I was done.
And it was really cool because in the back and forth with Claude on that, it did a thing I do with other people I help with writing sometimes, which it was like, let's step back. Tell me about a time when this thing happened in your business. Don't write it like you're writing the essay. Just tell me about it. Oh, right, cool. Yeah, it happened in this way. And they're like, there. Claude is like, that should be the ending of your essay. That makes a ton of sense. Now go off and write that and come back.
Which one do you recommend to people, especially if they're first starting out?
Yeah.
What would be, they're brand new to all this. What would you tell people?
The one that you already have access to. So if you are at work, your business has Google Workspace, so you have Gemini for free, start with Gemini. You already have it. If your company is paying for Copilot, you're a Microsoft shop and you've got Microsoft Copilot, start there. You could start anywhere, right? Like you don't have any constraints. It's helpful to a little bit know what they offer and how the companies work. Some people might find that they align with Anthropic's values more than OpenAI's values. So Anthropic makes Claude, OpenAI makes ChatGPT. So you might look a little bit into Anthropic's business or OpenAI's business and go, I feel like I trust these folks a little bit more. It's a company, it's a corporation, they're all working in AI. We can only take that so far. But I started with ChatGPT because ChatGPT was sort of leading the cutting edge when it came to individual consumer chatbot stuff. In the last 2 weeks, I've been transitioning to using Claude as my primary like day-to-day kind of assistant, because I do align better with Anthropic's values. And now Claude has a desktop client. And there's all sorts of reasons that Claude has really good models. So I've been making that transition. It's been very interesting. But I would say start with the one you have.
To that point, too, they are programmed in a certain way. So when you put in a question or a prompt to one, you are probably going to get a very different answer in another one. You could get a different answer in another one.
Maybe a different flavor.
Yes.
Right? The personalities, if you want to call them that, are a little bit different. They're trained differently.
Right.
Claude feels more accurately human in some ways. ChatGPT can be very sycophantic.
It's like your ideas. That sounds great, Heather.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't need
You are really on to something. Like I'm always on to something. I'm like, I'm not a genius. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm probably not on to something. This is just an email. Calm down. And Claude will do that as well. But I have given Claude instructions. I don't need a cheerleader. And in fact, when I started using Claude as like my primary, I kind of took that a little too far. And Claude, I felt like Claude was being like little too direct with me. Yeah. Okay.
I need a little bit of sugar, Claude. Okay. Just a little.
Like, you still need to be kind. Oh my God. I mean, there is something to be said for these computers we are now interacting with. If they are the kids say, if they are glazing me too much, maybe it feels good, but that actually is not good for me. It's not actually good. But I want you to be like a trusted friend. I expect my friends to push back when I have an idea and it's bad. Stop wasting your time, or you've talked about this for 10 years. Don't do it, or whatever.
Right.
That has been a very funny experience. I think I've tuned it better.
So restaurant retail, things that
Yeah.
they're using it for practically. Marketing, maybe a flyer, menus, maybe events. What are some
Yeah.
creative events that I could do? And here's who we are and here's what we believe in. And who might we partner with to put on those
100%.
events? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Or could you put together a timeline of when should I do an event like that? Should I do a Super Bowl promotion or whatever? Or does it make more sense to do something right afterwards? Like, what would be your advice on that?
Right.
Here's my business model. Here's the type of customers I have. Here's when my foot traffic is. It depends on the kind of data you have too. If you have really good data about when sales are happening, when you typically make sales, or when customers are typically coming in, am I missing an opportunity when people are coming in and I'm not serving them, or I run out of food or whatever? There's a lot of things you can do. I'm not like a restaurant person, but when we're talking about internal efficiencies, if you have that data, these models are really, really good at interpreting and summarizing data.
What are some watchouts? I think you mentioned one. You mentioned,
Slop, brand voice, huge. Your brand is so important, even for like the smallest business, right? So maintaining that is really, really important. I would be careful on AI sort of in customer-facing hospitality. And again, I think that comes down to brand. Do I want a chatbot on my website? Is it supporting my brand? Is it going to actually help me make customer service better? And I will say one thing about governance and privacy, which is be aware of the models that you're using and the data that you are providing. It's evolved a little bit. For example, Claude by default will not train on any of your data. That means that your data that you provide is likely not going to become part of its training data on its main models, which is a thing that you have to be concerned about. But even for my own businesses, when I'm working with documents or contracts or whatever, I look for ways of anonymizing them, because why not? So if I'm going to put my contracts in and get a assessment on whether my SOW is written properly or whatever, I will just take out all the identifying information. It doesn't need to know who the client is. It doesn't need to know who my company is or what the address, whatever. Like, it can find some of that stuff online, but it's just an internet hygiene thing. Let's just provide only the information that it needs.
Right.
Or if I'm going to provide a spreadsheet of sales data, can I take out some identifiable stuff? Like, I don't need that in there. And it's just good practice all around. That's just always something to keep in mind when you're working with these AI models.
Patterns, things like that. Like, I'm just thinking employee stuff that might come up for retail and restaurants. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's something like, what patterns are we noticing with absenteeism? Or I don't know, something 100%. Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you think about, it's strategically very good at analyzing large swaths of data, better than you might be able to if you were just looking at it. So one of the things we talk about when we look at places to put AI in businesses, like right now, everybody is sprinkling AI on everything, and the outcomes are not great. Some things don't need AI, and then you get these really bad chatbots and everyone feels sad. In your business, you should be looking for places where you are already experiencing some sort of pain. You are already finding points of friction in your business. We had the opportunity to have David Long, who is the Vice President of Digital and Innovation for the Portland Trailblazers. He's in the back office, not in the sports side of things, but he's doing a lot of innovation with how they integrate AI into their back office admin stuff. And he basically had meetings with his team where he's, tell me what sucks about your job. Those were the exact words. These are like what sucks meetings. Come with the things in your job that you don't like doing. What are the things that are boring, slowing you down, busy work? Let's look from a problem perspective on where are the points of friction already in our business. Mm-hmm. What are the things I need to know? What are the things that the team is struggling with, or my team is spending like an hour a week on this one report that is so annoying? And then when you have that problem set, how can we solve that problem? And is AI going to help solve that problem? Because maybe you find another solution. You're like, wow, we really just needed a different spreadsheet. Cool. That saved an hour. Or you spin up a new tool. When we think about AI in organizations, we're thinking about innovation, and we're also thinking about change management, right? Mm-hmm. How do we institute change and manage our teams through change?
Anything else for retail and restaurants?
Also keep an eye on what your existing tools are starting to deliver for you. Especially in the first 2024, 2025, the features that were coming out were just not super great. They were pushing things out because they had to push things out. That they're starting to get better. paying attention to those features that are coming and then trying them out, but also know that they still might not work right for you. But if you come from that problem perspective, you will have a list of the problems you're trying to solve that empowers you to find ways of solving those problems if that AI solution doesn't work for you.
Let's shift to professional services and nonprofits. You said to bucket those together.
I work in professional services in some regard. That's what my platform, my business does. Thinking of AI as an assistant, highly educated, but just doesn't know anything about your business necessarily or can't remember it, is that the right mental model? I find that there's some low-hanging fruit with this type of work, like consulting type work, like meeting notes. I'm a certified project manager, and I hate taking meeting notes. It has been my career, and it is something I welcome the robot overlords to do. And there are tools that do it really well now. And you still have to be that human in the loop.
Yes, you still have to read
the
it.
Notes. I would say that that's true even when I was taking notes for other meetings. Maybe I didn't track the conversation because I didn't really know what people were talking about and I didn't quite summarize it exactly right. That has always been true. It's more true when you have it somehow automated. But there's so much power when you have those meetings transcribed that way. Now you have some data that you can put in a Notebook LM folder and start to ask questions about what happened in that meeting, like human questions, natural language questions. What happened in that meeting in June? Did somebody say they were going to do something? And you get an answer back. Yeah, right. Jason said he was going to do this thing. Like, cool. That is really powerful. We talked about the ability of AI to analyze data really well. So in professional services, that's huge. You've got spreadsheets, you have reports. All that stuff can be ingested and then analyzed, and you can ask natural language questions. So instead of going through and reading meeting notes or trying to pull up that presentation and read it again, you can have it synthesized for you. And that can be really powerful. It makes me think about, where is this data? In order to really leverage AI, you have to have this data in some place that you can actually analyze it. If you do, if you've got your Google Drive with all of your folders and all of your files and everything, it becomes really, really powerful.
An example of that is a group came to me and they said, hey, we took all of our exit interviews and took out the names, took all the exit interviews, put it into AI, and then came out with, here are the 3 themes that we know, Heather, we want you to work on. And it was just brilliant. Yeah. This was about a year ago, just amazing to think of it in that way. And even with 360s, I used to spend hours reviewing all the 360 stuff. Now, again, having to take out people's names, having to take out the company, anything that's identifiable, but really does help and say, okay, so out of the feedback that we got here are the 4 to 5. Sometimes it gives themes a little too long. It really does help out with ideas like that. So, and it does it in moments, things that would have taken me hours. It really
like the synthesizing that data. We've done a similar thing. We did an event just for other meetup organizers because we wanted to bring people together so that people could start to connect within the ecosystem, because we talked about community early on. AI Portland isn't the only community doing cool things. We need to know who's doing cool things and be able to support each other, and that is good for everybody. But we had people fill out a survey of what things they were struggling with and what things they could help with. And so it was really handy. This is just people writing their thoughts. I don't know. Our brains, I get tired.
Yeah, exactly. We get tired, or we remember the last thing that somebody said, or we remember the thing that we related to, not necessarily what they were saying over and over again.
Or I knew they were all going to say this, and then they all said that. And being able to put that in and say, what are the top 5 themes here? As a good human in the loop, I will go back. Does that resonate?
Really?
If it came up with one that I was surprised by, was that in there? Or I can ask it, where did you find that in the data? Show me how you came up with that. We talk about maybe even analyzing customer service feedback. You're getting customer service feedback. You can take that really far. What do you do with that? You could even create an automation that drafts an email, does not send an email, drafts a reply. And you could really train that to draft the kind of reply. That is a more complex automation, but it is possible. Right. But even as a first step, what are my customers saying? And what are the themes that we're seeing? If you're doing research in a professional services context, it's a whole new world now. You can do university level research with the tools that are available to you. And it can be really powerful.
So I'm remembering something from and this might have been a long time ago, I know, in quotes, a long AI time ago. Yeah, exactly, a month ago. That it was making up stuff, or it wasn't really, so is that still a watch out for people who are So
absolutely. The hallucinations are less, but they're not gone. So humans in the loop, we've got to look at things. When something is so critical, it's a piece of data that you are basing your entire thesis on, you need to go find where it got it from.
Okay.
A lot of these tools are providing citations now, which is helpful. Some of those citations is just making up. We hear about this all the time in like legal field, whatever.
Yes.
You have to click through and go like, does that citation actually say the thing that it is saying? I mean, imagine that you gave it to that new hire we talked about earlier. Super smart, doesn't necessarily know what you want. You would look that over. You would not take that report and just put it on your website and be like, I'm done. No, you'd be like, whoa, does this make sense? It's the same sort of thing. And I mean, it'll do the other thing where it says something wrong and you go, I do this all the time. I'll be like, that isn't true. I didn't say that. Or I don't know where you got that. Just talk to it that way. And it'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it is tantalizing. It is. We've been told that these tools can just do everything. It can do my whole job. And it's just not true. It might be able to do parts of your job right now. It's not able to replace you fully, but have to make sure we're verifying. Have to really look through. We have to get really clear on what our value is. As a project manager, if my value is taking meeting notes, God forbid,
you're out.
That is my value. I'm out. Like, we're all in trouble. But if that is my value, then my job might be in trouble because there are tools that are doing that really, really well. But a project manager's value is not taking meeting notes. A project manager's value is not pestering people about their tasks. Project manager's value is understanding the context that all of this work is happening in. Understanding when it's time to ask that person, hey, what's going on? Or maybe I'm going to give them another day because they seem really stressed out and they're working really hard. So for every industry, what we're seeing is there is an impact. Like you're saying, there is an ability for this technology to do some of the tasks that I do. Our job is a series of tasks. Some of them, and maybe I don't even like doing them. My value is providing this strategic direction or the context for the project or that really important thinking, accounting. One of my good friends is an accountant, and maybe AI can like put the things in the boxes, but she understands what the client is looking for and what their business really is about.
Yes.
So it is uncomfortable for all of us because it requires us to get clear about what our value is and what are the things that we do that are uniquely ours. But I actually don't know that that's a bad thing.
Scary, but probably we need to.
I want to go on a slight tangent on this, but the world is hard. Life is hard. It's especially tricky right now. It's tricky in our world. It's tricky in our region for a lot of reasons. And it can be so easy to just fall into cynicism. And I just want to push back on that and not be blind to the problems that come with this new technological disruption. There are real things for us to be concerned about. But if we are only cynical, first of all, we miss those opportunities to innovate and do cool things and maybe get to focus on the things we really want to focus on. It's important for us to have a balanced view and not just fall into 100% cynicism about what this technological disruption means for us.
Doing this together and more of that outreach, is there anywhere else that people should go as they're doing this exploration of how can I utilize this and how not to go down the rabbit hole of I'll never have a job and I'm going to be in the corner and
Let me be clear, like some days I vacillate, not like a techno optimist. I do not believe we will all have a universal basic income and like make art all day. I don't know. It's capitalism. But I don't think it's helpful to live in either one of those extremes.
Right.
So there are so many resources. It can be so hard to know what to believe out there. I mean, at first I will hype our local communities. There are communities that are having these conversations. So if you're a business owner, maybe you're part of the chamber or something like that, like those are great places to go. There are communities in and around Portland that focus on e-commerce. Those groups are all grappling with this. And it's so important, I've said this a million times, for us to come together and like talk about those things. If you're really trying to figure out how to think about AI, there's a book I like to recommend. It's called Co-Intelligence by Ethan Mollick. He's a professor at the Wharton School. He is also a good follow. I don't know how he does it, but he writes about AI multiple times a day, all the time. But he
uses AI.
Yeah, 100%. He totally does. That book is a good model for how to think about working with AI in this new world. And then he posts this one post he updates all the time where he talks about kind of where to start with which model to use and stuff like that. And I think it can be kind of a good orientation.
Okay.
There's a woman named Nicole Merrill who does, her company is called Boring AI, and she does some workplace trainings with AI, but also how to think about AI at work. She's a good follow as well.
Okay.
Megan, tell everybody about your podcast.
So AI Portland has a podcast called Supercharged by AI. Nicole Merrill is on that podcast at one point recently. We tend to cover the things we talked about at AI Portland. So if you missed an event and want to know me and Nicole's feelings about that event, you can go and hear that. And it's everywhere you get podcasts.
Awesome.
And if people want to know more and have a question for you, or if they want to have you come speak, because you are very open to that, you said classrooms, podcasts, whatever, tell people how they can get a hold of you. It'll be in the show notes, but I like you to say it as well.
Yeah. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn. That is the place where most people find me. Also, AI Portland is aipdx.info is our website. That's how you reach AI Portland. We have a happy hour coming up. We've got lots of events coming up. So that's also another place if you want to come say hi.
Love it.
Rub elbows and have a little nosh and relax and talk about it without any fear. That sounds fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of your time and all of your information. And we will hopefully see you again very soon in the future.
Yeah, it's so nice to talk to you all. Thank you so much. It's nice to meet you.
Okay. Wealth of knowledge and positivity, which we just really, and honesty. I really appreciate you being real about it. It's awesome. Kind of giving us the best of both.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We appreciate it. And we want to remind you that every day is a Chamber of Commerce Day here in Lake Oswego.
The Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce thanks you for listening to Business LO. We would love to have you as a member so you can help Lake Oswego continue to be one of the best places to live, work, and play. If you want to share an idea for a future episode or become a member, visit us at lakeoswegochamber.com, and please like and follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And for help with your business podcast, go to modcastproductions.com.